Good evening, and I welcome you students. What we are discussing already, geochemical cycles, a constant interaction between biotic and abiotic components of the biosphere. And we have already shown you water cycle. Then we have already shown you nitrogen cycle. How these elements are moving from biotic, abiotic, and different types of atmosphere and earth, and finally they come back, go to the atmosphere. All these cycles we have discussed. Another very important cycle which is taking place is carbon cycle. You are aware about the carbon element, student? Carbon element, it has atomic number 6, student. Carbon, it has 6 protons, 6 neutrons and 6 electrons. Here you can see if I write like this, students. And carbon is very important element because you know millions of carbon compounds. Organic chemistry is all the chemistry of carbon compounds. Millions of compounds of carbon are known. And in our body also you have carbon. Now the question is how the carbon is interchanging. In the atmosphere, you are aware that there is a gas which is carbon dioxide, and how it is being utilized by plants. So carbon is moving or interchanged biosphere, geosphere, pedosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere of the earth. There are water bodies, air, atmosphere. So what is happening? This is moving around. We can say that, student, carbon cycle can be defined as process where carbon compounds, students. What are carbon compounds? You are aware of the compounds of carbon. You know, protein, amino acids are also compounds of the carbon. Methane, petroleum products, they are also compounds of the carbon. Carbon dioxide is also a compound of the carbon. Our bodies, whatever we are saying, fats, proteins, amino acids, there are carbon present in them also. The number of carbon compounds is unlimited. Millions and millions of carbon compounds are known, student. Organic compounds, all carbon. So carbon cycle defined as process where carbon compounds are interchanged. They are interchanged among biosphere, geosphere, pedosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere of the earth. Carbon is a crucial element that shapes our today's environment and has a crucial role to play in the formation of the body of a living creature. Our body, student, the living organism. They contain carbon, animal and plant also. Everyone needs carbon to create structure of most of their molecules. Important that we are made up of molecules. But we are made up of molecules, students. If I say there are carbohydrates, student, or what you call as a sugar, you are talking of fats, you are talking of proteins, student, DNA, RNA, all these, whatever molecules which will create the structure of the living organism, they will need carbon, student. They need carbon. Now the question is, carbon get recycled over and over in its elemental form or in its various compounds throughout the earth. This recycling and reuse of carbon is what we call as a carbon cycle. So here we are saying, students, carbon gets recycled over and over in its elemental form. What is the purest form of carbon? Can you tell me? Which is the purest form of carbon, student? Huh? Diamond and graphite, you know, they contain carbon, diamond and graphite. So what is happening? The carbon gets recycled in the elemental form or in various compounds of carbon. We already say that all the compounds are containing carbon. The recycling and reuse of carbon is undergoing. All right. Here is a small picture of student, what is happening. What is important? Plants. If you go to the plant students, these are plants, which we are our primary producers. And you know, plants perform which process, student? How plants survive?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. They are called primary producers. In photosynthesis, plants are using what, student? Carbon dioxide is used by the plants and they will prepare sugar.
Yes, sir.
Will release oxygen gas. So the organic compounds, they contain carbon. And what happens? How the coal has been formed, student? And these are petroleum products. Decay of these, what happened? Then organic compounds of animals. There are organic compounds. What are organic compounds? Compounds which contain carbon, hydrogen, and some other elements like oxygen, nitrogen. They are organic compounds or animals. Inorganic carbonates and shells. Where are these present? Carbonates. In the earth crust, you have carbonate, student. Limestone. You are aware of the limestone. What is that? CaCO3. Carbon is present. And shells in the marine life, you know, there are shells which are produced. And what is happening? They are going to release which gas? Respiration and decomposition. Here two things are happening. Respiration and what we are saying, decomposition. Are you respiring? We are respiring. Then what gas we are releasing? Exhaling, inhaling oxygen, exhaling of carbon dioxide. Where it will go? In the atmosphere. So this is going in the atmosphere. All these processes, you will burn anything, combustion, carbon dioxide, and this. There are carbonates in water, which we are saying. You have coal, limestone, carbonates in water. All this you can see. There is exchange of carbon and its compound, students. In the water bodies, in the earth's crust, in the atmosphere. So this process goes on. It never stops. This process never stops. Cycles means they will never stop. They will continue. All right. Let us see something more about it. What is happening, student? Here, fast carbon cycle showing the movement of carbon between land, atmosphere, and oceans in billions of tons of gigatons per year. Yellow numbers are natural fluxes, red are human contributions, while white are stored carbon, effects of the slow carbon such as volcanic. What is the interesting thing about this? There is a movement of carbon. See, fossil fuel is how much? Is written 10,000 billions of tons, gigatons. Ocean, deep ocean, reactive sediment, soil, net terrestrial of soil carbon, microbial respiration and decomposition 60 billions of tons, student, gigaton. Fossil fuels, cement and land use. Plant respiration, plant biomass, photosynthesis. Atmospheric carbon net annual increase 4 in terms of billions of tons. Numbers in particular refer to stored carbon pools. Red indicates carbon from human emissions. So these red ones are human emissions. So you can see that a cycle of carbon is going on by the processes which we have shown. Basically, what you are trying to say, most important thing, carbon present in the atmosphere is absorbed by the plants. Photosynthesis. Most important process is photosynthesis. So plants are then consumed by the animal. Photosynthesis, plants, they are called the primary producers. These are consumed by the animals, student. Animals will consume these plants and carbon gets bioaccumulated into their bodies. Bioaccumulation. What is bioaccumulation, student? Slowly and slowly, more and more amounts of carbon is coming. Bio, living, I mean, more and more accumulation takes place. As animals are, what they are doing, they are eating more and more plants. So there is a bioaccumulation in their body. Then these animals, what will happen to these animals, student? They will die. Everything will die one day. We will also die eventually. And then decomposition, dead animals and plants. What will happen, student? Organic matter. When they will die, what will they release, student? They will decompose. And what is released? Carbon dioxide, or this carbon is released back into the atmosphere. So starts with here, plant's primary process, photosynthesis. Therefore, we can say, student, Earth's carbon cycle is a biogeochemical exchange of carbon. Biogeochemical cycle between Earth's 5 main physical spheres. What are the 5 main physical spheres of Earth? 5 main physical spheres of the Earth, students. Atmosphere, biosphere, pedosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. So what is happening? Human activity, including burning of fossil fuel, also the mining of our soils, has radically altered carbon movement between these spheres, resulting in large net increase in carbon. What is happening? The balance is there, but there is a tilt of the balance. There is a large increase in carbon in both atmosphere and hydrosphere. What is the result? Mining of soil has radically altered the burning of fossil fuels. Human activity is also affecting this. Human activity, students, very important. What are the human activities which are affecting this and creating large net increase in carbon? Human activities. Burning of fossil fuels. Mining of our soil, mining. Has altered the spheres and net increase in the carbon. They are causing net increase in carbon. Where? Which part? Here we have atmosphere and hydrosphere. In the atmosphere and hydrosphere, you are aware, hydrosphere in water, with consequent negative impact on global climate. This has negative effect. Negative impact, student, on global climate and biological system. Two important points. Global climate and biological systems. Can you tell me, student, what is the global climate issue nowadays? CCL is dedicated to halting and reversing these imbalances through identification of human practices that restore its taken scale, can increase carbon sequestration and reduce GHG emission. What is the meaning of this? You already know. The biological system, if there is more carbon, then what will happen to the biological system as well as to the global climate? This is what we call as a climate crisis. Already you are aware of climate crisis, students. You are aware of it, how much it is happening and how it is affecting our environment. Therefore, we can say, student, carbon is an essential element for life on Earth. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Our body contains carbon compounds. Every living organism has carbon compounds inside each of its cells, such as fats and proteins. Inside the cells, student, what you have? You have fats, you have proteins, carbohydrate. Carbon cycle also shows how atoms of carbon can exist within different compounds at different times and be recycled between living organism and environment. Living organism. And there is an environment, student. So what is happening? The carbon is going in different forms of the compounds of carbon and coming back from environment to the living organism. Carbon enters the atmosphere as carbon dioxide from respiration. You know what happens during respiration and what happens during combustion, student. What is combustion? You burn anything. What is the result of that? You will get a carbon dioxide gas, and respiration releases CO2 gas, student. So carbon is entering into the atmosphere in the form of mainly carbon dioxide. Therefore, what are the steps here? What are the stages? What are the stages of, or we can say, question has been asked like this, student. What are stages or steps in the carbon cycle, students? Carbon cycle. What are the stages and steps in the carbon cycle? Carbon enters the atmosphere as carbon dioxide from respiration and combustion, number one. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by producers. You already know what are producers. What are producers, students?
Sir, basically, sir, plants.
Plants, all plants are the primary producers. To make glucose in photosynthesis, that is the number two step, photosynthesis. Animals feed on the plant, passing the carbon compounds along the food chain. We will be talking about the food chains, student, in 10th class also. There are food chains. It's a food chain. One organism eats another organism, another, and this type of food chain continues. Most of the carbon they consume is exhaled as carbon dioxide. Exhale, student, is very important activity. All these are doing exhaling. When they exhale, what is released? Carbon dioxide gas. That was formed during aerobic respiration. Animals and plants eventually die. What will happen? We will all die one day. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
Then where will we go? Back to the atmosphere in the form of gases. Decomposers are there, those who will bury the bodies. They will break down the dead organism and return the carbon in their bodies to as carbon dioxide. In some condition, decomposition is blocked. The plant and animal may be available as fossil fuels in future for combustion. So what happened when such decomposition is blocked? What was formed? When decomposition of dead, okay? What happened, student? Dead organism is blocked. Then what is the result of that? What happened? They converted into fossil fuels. How much it took, how much this took? Millions of years. Now, where are the resources of fossil fuels which you are using as energy? All these processes are, student, involving exchange of carbon in elemental or in the form of the compounds. Okay. Certain interesting things are coming, student. Carbon moves from fossil fuels to the atmosphere when fuels are burned. When humans burn fossil fuel to power factories, power plants, cars, and trucks, most of the carbon quickly enters the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. Each year, 5.5 billion tons of carbon is released. How much? 5.5 billion tons. See the figures? Billion tons by burning of fossil fuels. Of this massive amount, 3.3 billion tons stays in the atmosphere. How much is staying in the atmosphere? 3.3 billion tons. And most of the remainder become dissolved in seawater, ending in seawater. Carbon moves from atmosphere to the oceans. A lot of carbon is going in the oceans, and other bodies of water absorb some carbon from atmosphere. The carbon is dissolved in water. See, a lot of water is there in the sea, water, and water bodies. Water bodies dissolve carbon. You got to know a lot of information about the carbon. Here is another beautiful picture to show what is happening. You see the fossil fuels, student, and fossil fuels, ocean, dead organism, waste products are for forming fossil fuels. Decay organism, roots of respiration, and then what is happening? Factories, emissions, throwing CO2, carbon dioxide emission, photosynthesis, CO2. So these cycles are going on. In photosynthesis, CO2 is used, student, by the plants, organic carbon. So see how the things are moving. There is a movement of carbon in the elemental or in the form of its compounds with the living organism and the environment. This process continues. You have seen the cycle where it is disturbed now and how it is affecting the climate and biological systems. Everything is important. Everything is important for the living organism. We are living organisms on planet Earth, and our life is determined by a large number of factors. Very important question will be there in the exam, student, which we are talking now. This is the most important part, student. Greenhouse effect, student. Greenhouse. First of all, the question will be asked by the students. What do you think by greenhouse? What is a greenhouse? You have any information? There is called a greenhouse, students. What is called a greenhouse, students? Have you seen anywhere greenhouse?
No, sir.
Okay. Here we are showing, have you seen anything like this? This is a glass, student, glass. This is a shade of the glass, and there are plants here. Did you see any of these structures in anywhere? Some places you may have seen it. A greenhouse is a structure with walls and roofs made up chiefly of a transparent material such as glass. You have seen this is a structure, and it is mainly having a roof. The roof is made up of glass, student. The roof is glass, in which plants requiring regulated climate conditions are grown. you know, plants need what we are saying, regulated climate conditions. There is a temperature which is required for the growth of the plant, students. Supposing it becomes very, very cold, then what happens? You see what will happen? Then the plants cannot be there. Or temperature is important, student. So there is a regulated, what we do in this, climate conditions are regulated. What we are saying, by using the roof of the glass, student, climate conditions are regulated, students. Regulator, what is a regulated? Regulated, you know what is a regulator? Are regulated, okay, for the growth of the plants, for plants to grow, for plants to grow. These structures range in size from small sheds to industrial size building. A miniature greenhouse is known as cold frame. What they call is cold frame. Here is a picture of that. Now you got it, what we are trying to say.
Yes, sir.
You can make these greenhouses anywhere, no problem. The roof and the sides, you see, they are made up of glass and plants are inside. What is the purpose? To regulate the climate conditions in which plants can grow. Otherwise, plants cannot grow. We will see how it regulates. First of all, note down this. What a beautiful picture. I have seen some in some gardens and farmhouses. You will see this. Next question is, student, it was asked, what do greenhouses do? Now I'm putting question number 2 to you. What do greenhouses do? Why do you need greenhouses? They are used to grow plants such as tomatoes and tropical flowers. A greenhouse stays warm inside even during winter. See the interesting thing. This greenhouse will stay warm, student, during the winter season. In winter, what happens? Now it's very cold. It is very cold, student.
Yes, sir.
I'm wearing very warm clothes. But how will we give warm clothes to the plant, student, if we want to make them warm, student? What they do? They build a greenhouse. What is a greenhouse? With roof and sides, you have seen, made up of glass. So they have closed them in glass structures. What happens then in the daytime? What is the daytime? Sun shines. Okay? The sun energy is there, student, into the greenhouse and warms the plants and air inside. So when from the glass, what will happen? The sun energy will pass. And what will happen? It will warm the plants and air inside. So inside you have air and plants. They become warm, student. That is because the glass walls of the greenhouse trap the sun's heat. So the sun's heat is trapped. Heat is trapped. What has happened? Sun's heat is trapped. So what is interesting? The important question is that how the greenhouse works. The glass walls of greenhouse allows the sun rays to pass into the interior right up to the Earth's surface. However, the reflected back infrared rays are not allowed to escape by the glass walls. What will happen now? When the sun rises and sun sets. So what will happen? When the sun will set, then what will be the result? The glass does not allow the reflected back rays are not allowed to escape. Infrared rays, these are infrared rays which have entered, they are not allowed to escape by glass walls, as well as carbon dioxide and water vapor are added in the air inside the glass house. This makes greenhouse warmer than outside air. So the result is, inside the greenhouse, what is happening? there is the infrared rays are trapped, carbon dioxide and water vapor are added in the air inside the glass house. This makes the greenhouse warmer, so it stays warm. That is the climate which is required for the growth of tropical flowers, etc. It will stay, the heat is trapped inside. Note down, student. So in the glass house, greenhouse is warmer than outside air. Note kar lo, important hai. I hope you understood our point, students. ये glass house क्यों बनाए जाते हैं? What is glass house? इसी को green house कहते हैं. This is what is green house. हो गया? समझ में आ गया?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा. A question has been asked. Similar question was put up. What is a greenhouse system? Question number 4 is coming. What is a greenhouse system? Greenhouse, also called glass house, building designed for protection of tender or out of season plants against excessive cold or heat. A greenhouse has a large expanse of glazing on its sides and roof, so plants are exposed to natural light for much of the day. Nowadays, you see, they are creating a greenhouse system so that the plants can survive. Main thing is the climate conditions. As we said, they maintain the right climate conditions for the plant to grow. Another question is coming, student. A very important question. Question answers. What is greenhouse effect? What is the effect of this greenhouse today? Important question. What is greenhouse effect? The greenhouse effect is a trapping of the sun's heat in the atmosphere of a planet by gases in the atmosphere. In our atmosphere, student, you have gases. What gases you have in the atmosphere? You are saying air. What is it? Then air? You are saying oxygen gas is there. Nitrogen gas is there. Also, carbon dioxide is there. They are minute and few other gases. So what is happening? Greenhouse effect. That trapping of the sun's heat in the atmosphere by the gases. These gases, mainly carbon dioxide, what it does? It will trap the heat of the sun. Just that is the reason we talked about what is greenhouse. What it was doing, it was keeping the atmosphere warm inside. Warm inside. It trapped the heat of the sun. The same work is done by certain gases in the atmosphere, student. So the trapping of sun's heat in atmosphere of a planet by gases, the greenhouse effect happens because of the so-called greenhouse gases. Question number 6, they will ask you in the paper. What are greenhouse gases, student, which will trap the sun's heat? Important question. That has been asked many times in the paper. What are greenhouse gases, student? What is the answer? Carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, and some other gases. They trap the heat of the sun. The result will be heating of the surface of the earth till the troposphere. There are different layers above the earth. You have get in the geography, you will see different layers. So greenhouse effect is a process of heating of the surface of earth till the troposphere. Why it happens? Important question. It happens because higher concentration of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane, other gases. In the greenhouse effect, concentrated gases absorb the energy, thereby increasing the global temperature. So these gases, what these gases do? These gases, student, they absorb sun's energy. And if they will absorb sun's energy, what will be the result of that? Tell me. There will be increase in Temperature.
Yes, sir.
So there is an increase in temperature. ये rise कर रहा student temperature. And which is the question was, which is the main greenhouse gas? What is your answer?
Carbon dioxide.
Okay. All these question answer I'm talking, student. Another question is coming. Anything can become a question from any line. And that's why I've given so much information in the form of question answer. Question 7 is, they said, which is the main greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect gas. Another question was, name other than CO2 gas, which acts as a greenhouse. Other than CO2 is which one we have told here? Mainly methane gas.
Methane.
And water vapor also we have told. All these questions are framed like this from the information which we give a very, very strong and plenty. All right. What we are trying to say, student, the atmosphere cover around Earth acts as a glass wall. Now understood greenhouse and glass wall. Same thing. The atmosphere is acting like a glass wall of greenhouse. It allows solar radiation to pass through it to strike the Earth's surface. However, it prevents the long wave infrared radiation, which is reflected back from that to escape into space. So the long range, long wavelength. Which are the long wavelength? Infrared radiation, IR. And you will learn more about these radiations later on, which are the longer wavelengths. They are not allowed to escape. So gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, CF are called greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is the most important greenhouse gas. Human beings are adding large amount of carbon dioxide and methane to the atmosphere. These CFG trap the heat infrared reflected back from this heats of the atmosphere lead to increase in Earth's temperature. This phenomena is called global warming, student. Another question is coming. All these are important questions, student. Question, what is global warming, student? Question 8, important. What is global warming? So if more emission of CO2 is there, more emission of methane is there, the infrared radiation are trapped, and there is an increase in the temperature of the Earth. You already know, you have seen the news, etc. The temperature of the Earth has already increased, which is called global warming. You know anything about global warming, students? Important questions. Question has been asked, what are the effects of global warming? Question number 9. All important questions, student. What are the effects of global warming? Increase in temperature can lead to melting of polar ice caps and ultimately rise in the sea level for submerging a number of major cities. Have you heard that certain cities are sinking or their level of the sea is increasing at some places? Which country you know where we are seen in the news? Is there a country which is saying that the sea level is rising? You are aware of that? Which are located along the sea coast? Do you know any country?
No.
I think Mauritius or something, they have shown in the news where the sea level is rising. And slowly, if more sea level rise, what will happen? So increase in temperature will result in changes in weather and precipitation pattern on the Earth. It will affect the weather and precipitation pattern. I mean, rainfalls and all that, they are related with this effect of global warming. It's a very, very important issue. Global warming. Note down the answers also. There is an activity given in the book. He says, find out the consequences of global warming would be. Also find the names of some other greenhouse gases. Important. Then such questions can be asked in the paper. Question. What are consequences of global warming, student? What is your answer? What is your answer?
The temperature of Earth
Rising, and then what will happen? The ice will melt. You know what they are saying, the Mount Everest glaciers are melting, and how much they have melted already because of global warming. So what will it release? Then a lot of water, and
Yes.
then sea level is rising. Coastal areas and near the coastal area, what will happen? They can be submerged in the sea.
Yes.
And other thing also we have told you just now. What is happening, student? Increase in temperature. Effect of global warming is an important question. Though there will be changes in weather and precipitation pattern on Earth. We have seen recently a lot of floods coming at large number of countries. In your country also, in other countries also, you are experiencing. In every year there are floods and how much people are dying. This year there were a very large number of floods still continuing. You know about it. Two things we are experiencing: lot floods and wildfires. A lot of forest fires and floods. You see at many places in the news. Okay. And what is the next question here? Find out the names of some other greenhouse. This is an important question. This will be asked has been asked in paper. Names of some other greenhouse gases. Names of some greenhouse gases. We have already given that answer.
Yes, sir.
What are those?
Methane, water vapor.
And few more have been listed in my there. Ozone, etc. also. So we've seen that. Okay, when we are talking of cycles, another important cycle, oxygen cycle. What is an oxygen cycle, student? You know how much oxygen is important for our life. Oxygen refers to movement of oxygen through atmosphere, air, biosphere, plants and animals, and the lithosphere. What is happening? There is an atmosphere. Atmosphere contains oxygen gas, student. Biosphere. What are biosphere? Plants and animals. And third, lithosphere, which is the earth crust. The oxygen cycle demonstrates how free oxygen is made available in each of these regions as well as how it is used. There are so many compounds of oxygen also, you know about it. So a lot of compounds that we are talking of oxides, ores, carbonate of CO3 contains oxygen. Photosynthesis, plants, all that, glucose, C6, H12O6. So what is happening? There is a cycle of oxygen also. Oxygen is moving through air, plants, and lithosphere. Okay, very good. Oxygen is very abundant element in our Earth. It is found in the elemental form in the atmosphere to the extent of 21%. It also occurs extensively in the combined form in the earth crust as well as on the air in the form of carbon dioxide. So you have oxygen gas, you have carbon dioxide. Again, you see oxygen here and in the earth crust, student. Again, if I write ZnCO3, if I write CaCO3, write MgO, student, or you write any compounds you are talking about, what is happening, student? Here, if I write different type of compounds, student, see the oxygen is there, oxygen is there. If I write C6H12O6, see oxygen is present in all these. It is an essential component of most biological molecules, like these are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, all these, they contain oxygen. So oxygen in the element form or in the compounds is already there. When we talk of oxygen, we are mainly referring to cycle that maintains levels of oxygen in the atmosphere, because it is the essential component of our respiration. Oxygen from atmosphere is used up in three processes, namely combustion, respiration in the form of oxides of nitrogen. Three important things. Combustion. Can any combustion take place in the absence of oxygen? Tell me, can
No,
there
sir.
be any fire without oxygen?
No,
No.
sir.
Respiration. You are taking oxygen,
Yes, sir.
and there are oxides of nitrogen. Oxide nitrogen is also there in the atmosphere. Oxides of nitrogen, NO2, NO3, all these. Oxygen is returned in only one major process. How the oxygen is returned, student? Major process. Question. Major process in which oxygen is returned back. Tell me.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Important question, student. Plants, primary producers. So what is happening? Photosynthesis is the most important thing, student. During the day, plants take up energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from air, and water from the soil to take their food. So then during this photosynthesis, the oxygen is evolved. Respiration, oxygen that is released by plants is used by human, animals, other organisms for breathing purpose. So here is a picture of the oxygen cycle. Atmospheric oxygen, respiration, and here H2O, water. This is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis are primary producer plants. They release oxygen in the atmosphere, and they are synthesizing their sugar molecule. This is your sugar, glucose. So what is happening? We are releasing CO2, and that CO2 is consumed by the plants. And like this, the oxygen cycle is going on. Water is consumed by the plants. Carbon dioxide is consumed by the plants for photosynthesis, and also there is sunlight and chlorophyll, and this is how the oxygen cycle is moving. Though we usually think of oxygen as being necessary to life in the process of respiration, it might be of interest to you to learn some forms of life, especially bacteria, are poisoned by elemental oxygen. There are certain bacteria which will die with elemental oxygen. Even the process of nitrogen fixing by bacteria does not take place in the presence of oxygen. See, this is important information. What is that? Certain bacteria are poisoned by elemental oxygen. Did you knew that? Certain bacteria are poisoned, students, by oxygen. Important. Second, nitrogen fixation. If a question is given, does it need oxygen? Does not take place in the presence of oxygen. Does not take place in the presence of oxygen. Certain informations are very important, student, for us. We should learn them. Everything to be noted. Everything to be noted, student. Every information is important for us. Note down, everything is very, very important, student. Therefore, you see carbon cycle, oxygen cycle, how important they are for us students, for our survival and living. And another one is coming, student, ozone layer. There will be question on that. What is ozone layer, student? Ozone layer is a region in the Earth's atmosphere, Earth stratosphere. You have seen different layers of atmosphere on the surface of the Earth, depending on the high kilometers. There is a stratosphere that contains high concentration of ozone and protects the earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. You know that ultraviolet radiations are very harmful, right?
Yes, sir.
And if they reach us, they will damage our skin cancer also. And there is a lot of ozone. Ozone is O3. If I add one oxygen in O2 student, I am getting O3. There are 3 oxygen atoms in this. 3 oxygen atoms. You can see O3 student. There are 3 atoms of oxygen. Now, the layer above troposphere is the stratosphere. This is a layer stratosphere. We said in the stratosphere. It extends up to 60 kilometers. The ozone layer is present in the stratosphere from about 20 to 30 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Ozone layer is about 3 to 5 millimeter thick. Is composed of 3 oxygen atoms, O3. Ozone layer was discovered in 1930 by French physicists Charles Fabry and Henry Buisson. The ozone layer has the ability to absorb harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from sun, therefore protects life on Earth. Ultraviolet rays are harmful and can cause skin cancer, cataracts, and damage the human defense to fight diseases. Ultraviolet rays are capable of destroying the plant and aquatic life. Here is a picture where it is located. This is your Earth, troposphere, and above the troposphere, stratosphere, ozone layer. Ozone layer, student. So this will absorb, student, here. This will absorb, student, what? This will absorb ultraviolet harmful radiations. See that? How much is that? 11 kilometer area where it is happening. But one of the problem you have heard is ozone layer and its depletion. Very important question. The ozone layer is depleting. There is a ozone hole, student. You have heard about ozone hole. What is happening? Ozone depletion is the thinning of ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. This happens when chlorine and bromine in the atmosphere come in contact with ozone and destroy the ozone molecules. So this ozone is being destroyed by mainly chlorofluorocarbons. Very important. Refrigerators, air conditioners, they emit certain compounds which destroy the ozone. The main cause of ozone depletion or ozone hole is manufactured chemicals, halocarbon, refrigerant, solvent, propellants, and foam blowing agents. How we can protect the ozone layer, student? Question was asked. Important question. How to protect the avoid consumption of gases dangerous to ozone layer due to their content manufacturing. Some of the dangerous gases are chlorofluorocarbons. This is the most important point. Halogenated carbon, methyl, and nitroxide. Number 2, do not use cleaning products that are harmful to the environment. A lot of cleaning products we are using solvent, corrosive substances, student. They are toxic. So you should replace them with non-toxic like vinegar or bicarbonate for cleaning. Buy local products, student. You can get fresh products that avoid consuming food that has traveled long distances. As more distance traveled, more nitrous oxide is produced. Longer distance goods are traveling, there is a more production of nitrous oxide. And that is responsible for depletion of ozone. Man, maintain air conditioners, get proper functioning servicing of the air conditioner, or there will be escape of these gases which will destroy the ozone. All right, student, this ends up the topic here. Probably, I think this also ends up the entire chapter which we have discussed, which is our natural resources. Then we see you next time. I hope this video will be recorded and sent to you. Very important information. Okay, bye-bye, then see you next time.
Thank you.